Well, I did it. Yep, this is a strange video for the channel because I hardly ever talk about Pokemon. I'm just never been that big of a Pokemon fan. But yeah, I picked up Pokopia because you guys bullied me into doing it. Also FOMO. I've seen everybody having fun with this thing. So yeah, I'm just going to play some gameplay and just talk briefly about my experience, and at least the start of my experience with this game so far. So here's a quick little background to give you guys an idea of where I'm coming from here. Yeah, I'm drowning right now. I am not a big Pokemon fan. I've never been that big of a fan of the battle system and stuff. I like the idea of filling my decks and finding all the Pokemon and stuff. My first game was actually Sword and Shield. I know, insane, right? But like, yeah, that was my favorite part, was just finding all the Pokemon and filling the decks to 100% completion. I just didn't like the battle mode, and that's kind of been my experience. I played a little bit of Legends Arceus and played the full game of Legends ZA, but it always just felt about the titles. Now let's blast on over to the life sim games. I'm also really not a big fan of these games either. My first one ever was Animal Crossing New Horizons, and yeah, it just wasn't for me. I put in about 30 hours, rolled the credits, and when it came to taking care of the island and having to return to it every single day to keep the upkeep going, I just couldn't care less. Like, it's just not my thing. And I tried. I get why people love it, and I'm glad that people love it, but it just wasn't for me. So I know what you might be thinking. Why the heck did you buy this game? Well, for one, they throw that stupid battle system out the window. Yeah, I know. I'm going to trigger some of y'all. This game is focused more on exploration, building villages and towns, and finding Pokemon. And let me tell you, yeah, they got me. A lot of people have been saying this plays like Dragon Quest Builders. Never heard of it. But there's so much that captivates me about this game, I really don't even know where to start. I know. We'll start with this. Legos. I say Legos because this game reminds me of building Legos. It's one of my favorite things to do until Nintendo said, what? How much? So this is just a video game about Legos, but for like a 90% discount. But anyways, I say Legos because what you do in this game to find Pokemon is you build environments. Like I said, there's no more looking for Pokemon, catching them in the Pokeball, all that stuff. Instead, you get like a book of a certain environment that you have to piece together. It'll be like a couple of bushes by this tree, or it'll be like place 4 pieces of grass by a lake and a boulder, or sometimes a wheelbarrow, a shovel, and an oven to spawn a Magmar. Yeah, it makes no sense. But this is such a cool and fun way to find Pokemon. You can also find them sometimes just hanging around inside caves, or you can find specific ones that are tied to the story. It's a cool way to fill your decks. Yes, there's a dex and there's tons of Pokemon in it. Something else that actually shocks me with this game is the story. I could care less about any Pokemon story that I've played so far, but this one intrigues me. Something about humans dying. Yeah, I'm a weirdo, but this stuff, oh, post-apocalyptic, feed me. But this whole game story is about humans just pretty much leaving the Pokemon in this world that's all completely left in ruin. And you can actually find notes and stuff left behind from humans in caves and different mountainsides in order to develop the story a little bit more and give you the small pieces of what's actually going on. And I found some that absolutely made my jaw drop of what's going on. I'm not going to spoil them, but dude, it's actually kind of insane for a Pokemon game. It reminds me of the likes of something like Splatoon. I do have plans to build my own towns and flesh this world out even better, but as of right now, I just kind of want to get to the story and do things with the story first, because I'm kind of intrigued to how this is going to end and what's actually going on, because from what I'm seeing so far, it's actually taking a turn that I was not expecting. But man, hours will sink by when you're playing this game because there's just so much to do. There's so much going on. There's so many items and objects to collect. It's crazy. There's cooking like Breath of the Wild where you can make certain meals. You could spend an entire day just doing missions or helping out the other Pokemon and building their comfort level so that way they're happy with where they are and doing little side quests and projects for them. You can spend days just building habitats and finding new Pokemon, or maybe just working on your own projects like rebuilding the minecart tracks all the way throughout the caves of the mountain. Shoot, there's even been multiple hours where I just found a certain cave that led me to this crazy underground bunker where humans used to live, and I'd find like old museums or old buildings that belonged to the humans and stuff, and it's just super cool. There's even some references to past games. I have no clue what the references are because I never played the past games, but I think that's the reason why I'm loving this game so far, because it's not like Animal Crossing. It's not forcing you to just kind of maintain all the villagers on an island and make sure that you don't waste the turnips that you saved because they're going to go bad if you leave them all on the island because I didn't go back to the game in time. You can play this game the way you want. If you just want to run around everywhere and explore this giant world, breaking holes through the side of mountains in order to find underground chambers and secret headquarters, you can do that. This game has an actual story with real missions for you to follow. If you want to just progress the story and do the missions and talk to the NPCs about how to get them done, you can do that. If you just want to fill your Pokedex and find all the Pokemon in the entire world, you can do that as well. There's just so many things to collect and find and store and build. I mean, the possibilities are truly endless. You can make gardens and plant tons of seeds, or build houses and fill it with tons of old remnants of human civilization. And I've seen so many people's worlds online where they filled their worlds with human-like houses and put the Pokemon inside. But I've seen some people take more of a nature approach and fill the world with tons of trees and jungles and rivers and streams and made it more natural. And the whole time I just keep thinking to myself, how big is this world? I'll climb up to the top of a mountain and I'm still nowhere near close to any of the summits nearby, and I can't really see just how big this world actually is. There's multiple different regions for you to explore and do missions in, and there's just so much world to play around with. It's a giant playground there. I can see people spending thousands and thousands of hours just developing their entire world in this game. I probably won't be one of those people that play this game until their fingers bleed, but I probably will, once completing the story, go back to all my past areas and start developing the towns a lot more. And I can definitely see this being a game that I constantly pick back up every now and then just to flesh out one of my cities a little bit more. And since the game helps to divide some of these regions, there's something so satisfying about being able to go back to a past area that you spend time with in the very beginning of the game and haven't seen in multiple hours, and seeing all the Pokemon that you left back in that area and talking to them again. It's just a refreshing feeling to go back and be like, oh, I remember this area when I had like limited tools and stuff. It's an ugly freaking area, but I remember it. This also just feels like it's the most polished Pokemon game ever. I've not encountered any glitches, any weird stuttering or slow down too much unless there's like a billion things on the screen. And even when it comes to the things that you have to wait a certain amount of real life time in order for that thing to finish building or cooking, it's really not that bad. So far, for the most part, it's really been like 5 or 10 real life minutes. I haven't built too many buildings yet. I feel like those are a lot longer. But for anything that you have to wait for outside of that, it's not that long, especially if you're making a simple hamburger steak. How is this making a hamburger steak? But man, I am thoroughly impressed with how much stuff this game has in it. I honestly think it might be my favorite Pokemon experience yet. I'll probably eventually make another video comparing this to my playthrough of Animal Crossing New Horizons eventually. But yeah, as of right now, this blew Animal Crossing New Horizons out of the water. Like, I genuinely am looking forward to keep playing, where in New Horizons kind of just felt like a chore. It felt like a job, like things I had to do. I'm not feeling that with this game so far. So I'll leave you with this. As somebody that's not a Pokemon fan and not a fan of life sims like Animal Crossing, I am still having a blast with this game. So I do recommend you give it a try. A lot of people are saying this is the first game that they've seen so far that makes them want to go out and buy a Switch 2. That should be enough to tell you that this game is pretty magical. I think Donkey Kong should be the other game. I don't know why people are sleeping on that game so much, but yeah, this game is an absolute treasure, man. But on the topic of treasure, you know what another Switch 2 treasure would be? 3D Mario.